尊敬的各位来宾，会议即将开始，请您尽快就座，谢谢。Dear guests, the convention is about to begin. Please take your seat. Thank you.
Dear guests, let's get started. Distinguished Deputy Chairperson Fan Hong, Executive Vice President Guo Yuansheng, Director Guo Hongwei, business leaders and representatives from the business sector, good afternoon. Welcome to the seminar on sensor development and application. I am from the organizer, that is the Sensors and IoT Industry Association. I'll be the moderator today. With the development the intelligent trend sweeping the world and rapid development of the IoT, intelligent sensors are the core technology of the IoT. It's witnessing the optimization of their application in industrial manufacturing, new agriculture, consumer electronics, biomedical, energy and environment, and water equipment. The intelligent sector sensor industry chain continues to improve, localization is picking up speed, and industrial clusters are taking shape. Heilongjiang Province, driven by scientific and technological innovation and focusing on digital economy and emerging services, is building an ecosystem for the emerging industries. So we are taking the opportunity of the World 5G Convention held here in Heilongjiang Province. We are having a seminar on sensors development and application here today. We have industry experts who will share their insights, which will help us form industrial consensus and facilitate cooperation. First of all, allow me to introduce the leaders and guests here. First, Fan Hong, Deputy Chairperson of the Standing Committee of the People's Congress of Heilongjiang Province, and Mr. Cao Hu from Heilongjiang Provincial IT, and Mr. Guo Yuansheng, Executive Vice President of SIA, Director of the 49th Research Institute of China Electronics Technology Group Corporation, Guo Hongwei, and Ni Xiaolong, who is the Deputy Secretary General of SIA, and Ren Hongjun, Chairman of Hanwei Electronics Group Corporation, Chairman of Shanghai Zuoan Xinhui Electronic Technology Zhang Bo, Vice President of R&D Center Zhejiang Dahua Technology Company Limited Li Guangyi, Chairman and General Manager of Nanjing Gova Technology Company Limited Li Weiping, and Lu Jing, Chairman of Hangzhou Multi-IR Technology, Yu Haichao, Deputy Director of the 49th Research Institute of China Electronics Technology Group Corporation, Xu Tiefu, Assistant Professor of Heilongjiang University, Long-Term Professor of Harbin Institute of Technology, Director of Automatic Test and Control Institute, HIT, Peng Xiyuan, Dean of School of Optoelectronic Science and Engineering, University of Electronic Science and Technology of China, Professor Gao Chengcheng, School of Integrated Circuits, Peking University, and Zhao Yuxin, Principal Assistant of Harbin Engineering University. Welcome to all of you. Now we'll start the agenda. Well, this time we have got great support from the Heilongjiang province. We're very happy to have with us Deputy Chairman of the Heilongjiang Provincial Standing Committee of the People's Congress, who will deliver a speech. Welcome. Distinguished Mr. Yuan Sheng, distinguished experts, business leaders, guests, good afternoon. In Heilongjiang Province, everything is vibrant in the month of August. On behalf of Heilongjiang, I would like to congratulate you on the convening of the seminar on sensors development and application, and I would like to welcome all of you for attending the seminar. President Xi Jinping pointed out that the digital economy is becoming an element or force that is reshaping the global economic structure and changing the competition landscape of the world. As the digital economy is developing vibrantly in national defense, aerospace development, and aeronautics, health, medical services, and meteorological services, sensors can be found everywhere. As a key technology for the IoT, sensors are considered both in China and globally one of the most promising industries going forward. According to statistics in 2021, China's sensors market size reached 300 billion yuan, yet high-end sensors used here in China, 60% of them come from overseas. So the development of the sensors industry still has a long way ahead. Heilongjiang province attaches great importance to the growth of the digital economy. It is one of the drivers for Heilongjiang province to further develop its economy. We have launched Heilongjiang 14th five-year plan for digital economy, as well as measures of the Heilongjiang province to support the growth of the digital economy, focusing on the IoT and sensors, the industrialization of sensors, in order to provide better support for intelligent old age care and intelligent manufacturing, in order to create a more enabling business environment. We also support the leading companies in the IoT industry to establish excellence centers. We also support the establishment of innovation platforms in order to transform research results into products and technologies. We have also organized conferences and exchanges so that industrial clusters can be established. We have also been involved in the matchmaking of capital with good projects in order to rejuvenate the economy in the province. Now, this is an era of integration and innovation. So here in Heilongjiang province, much investment is anticipated. It can also provide fertile soil for investment. I hope that all the business leaders present today can have a discussion on sensor development and application, on 5G, IoT, automobile, modern agriculture, meteorological services, and smart medical services. Innovation can be made in all these areas, and future trends can be predicted, and technological experience sharing can be conducted. I also hope that you will have some time to walk around and pay a tour to the projects that you are interested in. and to see for yourself the broad prospects of industrial cooperation so that we can turn the advantages of the province into resources that will enable collaboration and further drive the rejuvenation of the Heilongjiang province so that together we can open a greater prospect for the future. Finally, I wish the seminar full success. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Fan, for your wonderful remarks. We're very lucky to have with us Mr. Zhang Jun, academician of the CAE and Secretary of the Party Committee of Beijing Institute of Technology, as the president of the meeting. He's not here today, but he has sent a video. Let's listen, take a listen. Dear leaders, business leaders, experts and scholars, good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here or to talk to you via video link and participate in the seminar on sensors development and application to discuss about the innovative application of sensors in the 5G scenario. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you for participating in the seminar. I would also to extend my appreciation to all the leaders who have given us great support along the way. The State Council and the CPC Central Committee highly value the development of the 5G technology, and President Xi Jinping pointed out that 5G application scenarios should be verified and should be more diverse. And IIT stressed that it's important that 5G should empower all industries and sectors. With the support of all policies, the application of China's 5G technology has made solid progress and has achieved notable achievements. Because of the low latency and high speed of the internet enabled by 5G, IoT is now more possible than ever before. In the era of IoT, things can talk to each other. So the deployment of sensors has huge prospects. Over the years, the alliance, SIC, focuses on the priorities of the country and is involved in R&D and has expanded the use of sensors in, for example, agriculture. Today, we're gathered in Heilongjiang province, which is a pace setter for the development of intelligent agriculture in China. We will also witness the establishment of dedicated committee under SIC, taking this opportunity on further growing the sensors industry. I would like to propose the following. First, the sensor technology should be a priority for our R&D. We need the right people to conduct researches on sensors so that we can come up with cutting-edge sensors. Secondly, we need to meet the need of the country and the market and address the industry's pain points so that production and innovation can reinforce each other. Thirdly, the sensor industrial chain should be further improved. The industrial coordination capability should be further improved so that we can have a full industrial chain which has a reasonable structure and establish globally influential industrial clusters. Finally, I wish the seminar a full success, and I hope that today's discussions can be inspiring for all of you. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Academician John, for your suggestions. And thank you so much for bringing to us your expectations. Today's conference also received support from SEMI and MAMS, so we're honored to invite Executive Director of MAMS and Sensor Industry Group, SEMI, Tim Brosnahan.
Hello, and welcome to the seminar on sensor development application here at the World 5G Convention. I'm Tim Brosnahan, the Executive Director of SEMI's MEMS and Sensor Industry Group. If you're not familiar with SEMI, we're the largest industry trade organization representing the semiconductor industry, with over 2,500 member companies, and we've been doing that for the past 50 years. SEMI brings together players from across the $2 trillion semiconductor ecosystem. We've got design companies, material suppliers, tool makers, fabs, integrators, and even end users. To effectively engage with this wide range of companies, SEMI has formed smart initiatives in 4 rapidly growing market segments: smart data, smart mobility, smart manufacturing, and smart medtech. And to help manage and provide value to our 2,500 member companies, SEMI has formed 20 technology communities. These communities cover everything from nanomaterials to flexible electronics to sustainability and much more. But I'm here today representing the best technology community, SEMI's MEMS and Sensor Industry Group. At MSIG, we're all about sensors, which is why our goal is to help member companies sensorize the world. Our mission is to support member company growth through education and networking, promotional opportunities, industry problem solving, and developing new opportunities and markets. We support vertical markets, including Internet of Things, automotive, industrial automation, security, and one that's been very important recently, medical and environmental sensors. It's an amazing industry, and we're happy to help connect and promote it. If you'd like to learn more about MSIG and our community, please visit us at msig.org. Our participating companies include small startups, as well as huge industry-leading sensor companies and suppliers like the ones shown, plus over 100 other companies. We welcome you to join us. There's definitely a place for you in your company. And that's whether you're a software company like SoftMems, who provide innovative MEMS design software, or an equipment manufacturer like Lam Research, who are providing cutting-edge manufacturing tools for MEMS and electronics. Our members also include MEMS manufacturers, for instance, Rogue Valley Micro Devices, a solution-based US MEMS foundry specializing in small batch and low volume MEMS fabrication and production. We also have sensor makers like Analog Devices, who are revolutionizing MEMS inertial measurement units with 100 times better performance or 10 times reduction in size or power. Micro speaker company USound is also a member with the revolutionary MEMS audio modules for true wireless stereo applications. I'll talk more about that when I do the market review. And we even have industry giant Bosch Sensor Tech, who are evolving their sensors with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other forms of low power edge computing to simplify system integration. Plus assembly and test houses like member company ASE, participating with their leading MEMS packaging solution. So as you can see, MSIG works across the whole supply chain. We connect everybody and try and make sensor adoption as easy as possible. There's definitely a lot we can offer your company. So check us out at msig.org. And now I'd like to present a MEMS market update from our partners at Yole Intelligence. And this is the latest data from their new report that just released this week. All right, MEMS, sensors, and actuators are part of everyday life. They're found in a variety of systems, from smartphones to cars, airplanes, satellites, you name it. In general, MEMS devices are going through an unprecedented growth period. They reached $13.5 billion in 2021, which is up from $11.5 billion in 2020, effectively growing by 17% year over year 2020 to 2021. And that's after a 10% year-over-year growth from 2019 to 2020, where it was up from $10.5 billion. Looking ahead, the market is expected to cross the $22 billion mark. That'll be 5 years from now, projected to grow annually at an average of 9% compounded annual growth rate from 2021 to 2027. Looking at some of these categories, the biggest brown bar will jump out at you. It's especially noteworthy. It represents RF MEMS devices, and that's driven by 5G communications, which I'll talk more about in a minute. Overall, the main growth drivers are coming from a mix of end markets, applications, and associated MEMS devices, either traditional or emerging new devices. So why don't we take a look at some of those drivers. On the left, we have traditional devices. RF MEMS, as I mentioned, that demand is growing and it stays very high due to increased 5G implementation. There's more smartphone models with this functionality all the time, but also there's many more base stations for connectivity. And the related BAW, FBAR, and XBAR filters used to address the 5G frequencies above 3 gigahertz, and where technologies like SAW are not well performing. New players are entering the game, particularly in China, where strong investment is ongoing. Sapland, Epic MEMS, MEMS Sonic, are all examples, and there's many more. Moving to microphones, they are growing due to the evolution of true wireless stereo. These are your iPod, your AirPods, and all the wireless noise cancellation headphones. So higher attachment rates are being seen in low and mid-end TWS, driven by much needed functionality like beamforming, active noise cancellation, voice pickup, activity detection, etc. They're increasingly used in automotive for road noise cancellation, multimedia, and very safety-conscious hands-free voice controls. They're also in hearing aids, and their performance has been good enough in this application that they are replacing the older technologies such as balanced armatures. Inertial sensors, a mainstay in MEMS, they are experiencing the positive effects from higher integration in wearables and hearables and associated use cases. Accelerometers for activity and tap detection, voice accelerometers are being used now for voice activity detection. Inertial measurement units, still growing strong, are also now in 3D audio. All right, and for advanced driver assistance systems and car electrification, we're boosting safety and the associated need for inertial measurement units in navigation, localization, rollover protection, always airbags, and other safety functions. And also the adaptive cruise control, using them as well. Let's take a look at silicon microfluidics. That has had a significant boost during the last 2 years, COVID being an accelerator. So in clinical diagnostics and in point-of-care diagnostics to check for viruses, as well as for detecting respiratory pathogens and developing vaccines. So the DNA sequencing is going to continue to drive the market in the next few years, in particular for pharmaceutical and life science research. Future, however, might be a little more difficult. Optical MEMS are used in the autonomous driving systems. Those would be things like LiDAR, heads-up displays, digital projection. Those are also driving a lot more MEMS use. But outside of the cars, augmented reality and virtual reality. MEMS-based projection modules like LBS, laser beam steering, are all becoming MEMS-driven. Developments in these areas are accelerating. Companies like Meta obviously being big drivers for the augmented reality and the metaverse. And there's significant opportunities in the next 5 years and beyond. Let's move to the right to see emerging devices. Gas sensors and environmental combo sensors for temperature, pressure, gas, volatile compounds. These are all being integrated into various devices like air purifiers, other consumer and commercial devices in order to monitor indoor and outdoor air quality. So now more companies have adopted MEMS processes to manufacture metal oxide-based and many other types of gas sensors. MEMS timing, still going strong. Oscillators and resonators are becoming more prevalent and are slowly replacing the older quartz technology. MEMS have a very high potential of following a path similar to other MEMS that have replaced incumbent technologies, much as MEMS microphones replaced electret microphones. Quartz is probably likely to go the way of the dinosaur as MEMS replaces that in timing. And that's because quartz requires dedicated manufacturing facilities, have long lead times without the ability to reconfigure them during the design cycles. But MEMS are easily programmable and can be done in semiconductor type fabs. Ultrasonic MEMS are getting clear traction. Capacitive MEMS, ultrasonic transducers like Butterfly Networks uses, or piezoelectric ultrasonic transducers like echo imaging continue to be developed for low-cost ultrasound and medical imaging and point of care. PMUTs used in haptics can also offer value proposition for the replacement of physical buttons in consumer devices, cars, etc. I mentioned USound, micro speaker development by USound and other companies are accelerating rapidly. You were even seeing Bosch acquire some of these micro speaker companies like Arioso. And they're constantly releasing new products for true wireless stereo together with partnerships and funding to support their growth. So MEMS micro speakers are likely the next candidate to disrupt an existing market that has old technology. MEMS sensor shift, optical image stabilization, big new opportunity. Development is ongoing. For now, there's no significant market, but the supply chain's ready to go. It's only missing a design in a smartphone, which is predicted to be the next iPhone. So watch that. After that, growth will skyrocket. If you want more information on marketing, check out Yole Development. They have that new report coming out just this week. You can get tons of more information. And if you'd like to hear more about the MEMS market and its cutting edge technologies, you can attend MSIG's MEMS and Imaging Sensor Summit, September 6th and 7th in Grenoble, France. I'll be there. That'll be a lot of fun. Or you can also join me at the MEMS and Sensor Executive Congress, October 11th through 13th in beautiful San Diego, California. If you'd like any more information about MSIG or SEMI, please scan these QR codes. I'll end by thanking the program organizer, China Sensors and IoT Industry Association, our partner in this, National Intelligent Sensor Innovation Center, and their vice president, Kevin Zhu, and Jesse Zhu, the owner of this program. Thanks, everyone, and I hope to see you soon.
非常感谢我们
Thank you very much, our colleague from MSIG, Mr. Brosnahan, who talked about MEMS and sensors industry globally. The sensor industry is definitely an industry that has lots of exchanges around the world, and we really hope to create more opportunities of exchanges both within China and between colleagues from China and those from across the world. Now we will start the keynote speech session. First of all, I would like to give the floor to Executive Vice President of SIA, Deputy Director of the Central Science and Technology Committee of Jiusan Society, Mr. Guo Yuansheng, to give a speech on perceptive technology ecosystem and philosophical innovation. Distinguished Madam Fan, Mr. Cao, and Mr. Guo Hongwei, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm very happy and honored to attend the seminar as well as the World 5G Convention. As an association in the sensor industry, we have experienced a long period of experiments. A lot of efforts have been made by business leaders, and I think you have a lot to share. Just now, I reported to Madam Fan that the sensor industry is what that combines the digitalization of the economy and the industrialization of electronics. So I would like to call on everyone to have a new, renewed understanding of the sensor industry. And how can we make the development of the sensor industry a priority in the process of the transformation of the manufacturing industry? In the morning, we had a agricultural industry subcommittee discussion, and I proposed how Heilongjiang province can grow its own sensor industry. Okay, so that's my topic on the screen. We all know that we are experiencing two transformations, industrial transformations and technological transformation. These are unprecedented opportunities, opportunities unseen in a century. But I think in order to utilize, fully take advantage of the opportunities, we need to understand how to digitalize the industries and how to industrialize the digital economy. So the people will have a better sense of gain that is achieved through the building of intelligent systems. And secondly, carbon emission can be reduced. But most importantly, we need to give the people a sense of gain. Now we are undergoing unprecedented changes. We are all using intelligent products. But I think it's important to quote President Xi Jinping, who said that we need to be problem-driven and task-driven, as well as target-driven. So that means we need to identify the challenges or the issues at hand. And that's exactly where I will start my presentation. So where is exactly the problem? Just now, Madam Fan also said that there is a gap between China's and the industry of sensors from that of the developed countries. In some areas, we're 10 to 15 years behind. So why is there such a difference? Well, the digital technologies develop following certain rules and laws. We need to understand the rules and laws. Information technology started the first wave of development in the 1980s. It followed the Moore's law. A lot of companies were created. Now, in Western countries, 3 nanometer chips can already be mass produced, but it's not the case in China. So in the beginning of this new century, people achieved seamless communication enabled by the second wave of the information technology. Overnight, many internet companies, new internet companies were created, and old companies were removed from the market. So overnight, some internet companies became really rich because it had a huge online traffic and had a large number of customers. We also saw lots of technological innovation there. One of them is 5G, created by Huawei. How Can 5G play a big role in the new wave of information technology? Well, the new wave started in 2009, which focused on the collection of information. It heralds the arrival of the era of IoT, big data, cloud computing, AI. Well, AI belongs to the fourth wave of IT. It's just that the future hasn't arrived yet. Now, AI hasn't been fully achieved yet. A lot of things are still being done manually. So now China has a huge capacity of processing data. It's just like a person who is very smart, but he doesn't have any eyes or he cannot hear anything. So that is just like not being able to collect the right data. So we need to recognize this problem in order to further grow. This graph tells us that IoT and perception are the prerequisite for IoT. Otherwise, the cloud will be useless. You see all these lines connecting things with one another. Here we have a network because we don't have the right data. 80 or 90% of the data stored in city-level clouds are useless. The data is put there merely because the leaders want to see them there. But the data cannot really help with solving any real problems. By processing the data 3 times in an intelligent way, can we get big data? And this is exactly what the fourth wave of IT development needs to address. Because we cannot achieve IoT yet, we will have to still depend on the Internet of People. It's just like we have the infrastructure, we have all the expressways built, but we don't have any cars running on them. Last year, it was proposed that standards for the access of 5G should be launched and adopted. But I said that now we have the infrastructure for the 5G technology, but we don't have any data running on it. So we need to allow, the problem that we're facing now is we don't have enough data in the network. So if we set up a criteria to screen off some of the data that are supposedly able to run on the network, then we will have even fewer data. Sensors are sensitive in 8 dimensions. Now, this is a growing consensus in the industry. They're sensitive to sounds, forces, light, magnetics, temperature, humidity, RFID. Well, many people say that there are a lot more subcategories, but I would say that fundamentally there are 8 different kinds of sensitivity to sensors. Why do we have only micro companies in the industry, in the sensor industry? Because we haven't made the industry intelligent. We haven't been able to build a network here. So our problem is we don't have the core technologies and we don't have the right application scenarios. Our research is leading the way, but we don't have a large industry yet. When it comes to sound-sensitive sensors, we do have some large companies here in China, but what we lack is an industrial ecosystem. Now, future trends of technological innovation. Well, first, we need to diversify the materials, and secondly, we need to seek innovation in process and technologies. For example, MEMS, which was elaborated by the previous speaker. We also need to innovate on chips, devices, and integration. So the Silicon Valley has used MEMS and applied different kinds of packaging. So for the last 20 years, that's where their companies have been competing. So what should be our competitive advantage? We need to seek innovation in devices and integration. People who are making sensors don't know how to make use of them, and those who are using the sensors don't know how the sensors are made. For example, I talked to people making car sensors, and I said, I will ask you a few questions about vehicle sensors. I bet you won't be able to answer any of them. So I went forward and asked a few questions, and he couldn't answer any of them. So we need to have a clear understanding of the problems. Same things happened to the US in the past. In 2009, the US identified 3 directions for innovation of sensors. First, MEMS process. A chip can measure pressure and temperature. This is what we call integration. And secondly, technologies should be made really easy to use so that people who use the products will have a better experience. And also, all kinds of energy and power should be absorbed to provide power to sensors so that sensors don't really need electrical cords to be powered, especially when sensors are used in the wild where power connectivity is impossible. Is there a way in which we can make industrial breakthroughs so that in the future the sensors can be used in house intelligent terminals? Or based on my data, well, we know that our data do not belong to us, and the privacy of our data is not exactly provided by companies that use the data. So how to deal with this problem? We need to build house and intelligent terminals so that all the data or photos can be stored there, and then by making use of this terminal, we can manage all the household appliances, home appliances. We can also share things on the cloud. We can authorize on the cloud. President Xi Jinping said recently that we need to improve social governance. using data. For example, Jinan is a pilot city, or Jinan, Xiamen, Shenzhen are the 3 pilot cities for smart integrated governance of cities. For example, if we have 2.5 million families and households in Jinan, and each family has a terminal, and if the terminal can achieve the above mentioned functions, then a large revenue can be achieved in Jinan only. How to manage home facilities. For example, in this toilet, 76 sensors are installed. So by merely going to the toilet, 13 vitals of their body will be monitored. You will know your blood pressure, your glucose level. This is in Las Vegas last year. During an exhibition, so these are the robots that were on display. So if the robots,
I'm the first personal assistant built by Cyberlife. I would take care of most every task. Like
我可以负责每天的很多的工作，包括做饭、做家务。我知道你是第一个通过测试的安卓系统的机器，你能不能讲一讲你的感受呢？但我不知道，看看人们是不是能够知道我和真正人的区别呢？觉得这是会非常有趣的问题。Clearly, the future is here already. What should China do? The Ministry of Finance minister died at home and nobody knew anything about it before he was found at home dead. And now there are many similar cases in China. So old age care is a very big market in China. Now, software plus services has a market share of 3 trillion yuan, and that can fully support the domestic consumption-driven growth of the Chinese economy. So I would say that the technologies are available. What is left to do is to apply a skin on the outside so that we can build robots as great as the ones on exhibit in Las Vegas. Sensors, when combined with body movements, can generate lots of data. We all know that Heilongjiang province is a province strong in agriculture. There's huge potential for development in facility agriculture. I would like to talk about technological penetration. A few months ago, we organized a aerospace seeding forum. Well, I thought it would be a good idea to enable people to plant vegetables on their balconies. And these pictures are taken by my friends in his apartment. He is growing vegetables on his balcony. 2 square meters will be enough to grow enough vegetables for a person. every year. So if people can grow vegetables at their own apartment, in their own apartment, it will be a very interesting thing to see. And you can even have some extra to share with your neighbors. I've done a modeling for Beijing. Ideally, each year that market size will amount to 2 billion RMB. That is for a city with 20 million population. But the key is how to achieve technological innovation and through technological innovation create more fun for people's everyday life. This is not something difficult, but we need people to get their hands on it. In the manufacturing of intelligent equipment, sensors are indispensable. Of course, now Japan has many mountains, so small agricultural equipment in Japan are becoming increasingly intelligent because of the use of sensors. Now, about the use of sensors in IoT systems. If we rely on the existing model, we won't be able to make IoT a reality. We need to connect the data silos and connect technologies. I have been a member of panels reviewing the building of smart cities in many cities across China. What I've seen is that things are not connected, technologies are not connected in the cities. To sum up, things flying in the air, traveling on ground or in the sea, what makes them advanced is what types of sensors are installed or the amount of sensors installed. The bigger the sensors, the bigger the number of sensors installed, the better the equipment will be, or the more capable it will be. Now, these are the challenges faced by the industry, featured by 6 Chinese characters. So what should we do? An industrial ecosystem is must be established. If you have a complete ecosystem, then you will be able to grow strong. And you can reap benefits from the application of sensors and further expand your capabilities. But of course, the ecosystem should consist of multiple parties, including companies, government authorities, testing organs, and research community. I will give you an example. Now, motors are not sold to Boeing. They're rented to Boeing. In this way, the quality of the Boeing airplanes can be better controlled. That is, if I rent a motor to you, an engine to you, for 14 years, I can collect fees from you, rents from you for 14 years. So that's a change of mentality. Now, sensor industry development in Heilongjiang. I think Heilongjiang has all kinds of sensors. It is also a highland for technological innovation. There are many institutes of technology in Heilongjiang. It also has application scenarios, agriculture, transformation of conventional industrial bases. It has manufacturing industry, travel and leisure industries, old age care industry, whose market sizes are all rather huge. But the problem is we need to be confident. First of all, we need to be confident about ourselves and the industry. Second, we need to be determined. Without determination, nothing can be achieved. Thirdly, you need to see where the benefits can be generated in the industry. Recognize the benefits. And collaboration is also critical. You also need to find the right place to start and be very careful and patient. You cannot expect your investment to generate benefits immediately in a couple of years. You need to stay patient. It's just like investing in a kid. You need to invest in a kid for dozens of years before he can go to college. So this is what I have always been stressing. We need to create the right ecosystem in order to attract investment. You will be attracted by the ecosystem because the ecosystem will enable you to better develop. You should also be persistent, but you should rest assured that you can definitely make some benefits from this industry.
Thank you very much, President Guo, for your sharing on the prospect of the industry. Thank you so much, and for your suggestions, very inspirational. Our next speaker is the co-president of the conference, Mr. Guo Hongwei, director of the 49th Research Institute of China Electronics Technology Group Corporation. The topic is smart sensor under 5G. Honorable Director Fan, President Cao, ladies and gentlemen, I am Guo Hongwei from the 49th Research Institute. I've been working in this industry for over 30 years, and it's quite a pity, as a matter of fact. When I was reporting to Director Fan, I said that the innovative capacity, industrialization level compared with international counterparts still lag years. But actually, we have huge potential. So for today, I have 4 points to make. Now, this is the topic, smart sensor under 5G. So first up, I want to talk about the upcoming 5G wave. And second, Internet of Everything. And number 3, smart sensors application. And in the end, conclusion. What is the trend of the industry? As we know, we've undergone 4 rounds of industrial evolutions. For the first one, we entered into the mechanical era. Second, electrification era. Third, information era. Now we're undergoing the 4th wave, which is the digitalization or digitalized era. It will bring us to the digitalized era. In the first industrial reform, human labor was prolonged and expanded. In the second revolution, our intelligence was expanded. And for this time, our sensing capacity will be extended. The 4th industrial revolution will bring to us the digital economy era. We issued Made in China 2025, which put 5G technology as a key for China's development. By 2030, investment into 5G will register 400 billion. Network investment will register 1.2 trillion. China is leading the world in this regard. We take up to 70% of the total base stations of 5G across the world. We have the best 5G network across the world. So China's 5G, as pointed out by President Xi, embraces the cutting-edge technologies of the world, embraces the demands of the country, and embraces the livelihood improvement of people. China's 5G industry is developing rapidly. However, the number of users is still lagging behind. For example, we have a lot of high-speed railways, but we don't have cars. We don't have people. The vacancy rate is high. So utility rate is not high. The high-speed channel cannot really be used for high-speed computing. In that regard, I would say that sensors will play a key role, providing guarantee for Internet of Everything. Next, I want to talk about Internet of Everything. ICT technology is the foundation for the Internet of Everything. After collecting data, storing data, exploring data, applying data, and centralization of data, we'll be able to achieve Internet of Everything. So this is the logical sensing layer. There are 6 pillars, technological pillars. Number 1, sensory technology. It helps us to sense the environment and everything. So it helps us to collect data, to interact with people by means of sensors. At the moment, the industry is not fully developed, and we still are at the mid to low end. 90% of sensors here in China actually rely upon importation. Previously, our speaker said the number was 60%, but actually that's not the case. Mostly we rely upon importation. Like I said, most of Chinese companies are at the lower end. So we have to develop smart sensory with the capacity of data collection, storage, transmission, self-diagnosis, self-calibration, self-compensation, and self-testing. Because smart sensors can really empower 5G. It will make 5G even more convenient for us to use. And second, MCU is another pillar for Internet of Everything. Data collection and computing are crucial at the moment. Cloud computing and edge computing already help us to compute, to calculate, to analyze and process data. It has fulfilled the demand of Internet of Everything for now. It is a key pathway for Internet of Everything. Another pillar is 5G, the topic of this convention, which is the high-speed railway of information. Now, this has high requirements because 5G technology requires ultra wideband, low latency, massive connection, high speed, and low power consumption has fulfilled the demand of high speed transmission of massive data. So, with the application of MCU, with breakthroughs in sensory, I believe that the high speed of information will become even more powerful. The next pillar is cloud computing. That is the mining, storing of data, and collection of data. The huge amount of data is calculated and collected. So everything has to be put on the cloud to process the data, to store and process the data. So cloud computing is another pillar. Next one. Fifth pillar, artificial intelligence. It helps us to discover and apply the information acquired by sensors. At the moment, AI, through smart matchmaking, without the help of data experts, can automatically analyze and integrate and mine data so as to fulfill the demand of Internet of Everything. Number 6, blockchain. Blockchain technology helps to achieve digitalization, decentralization, and real-time management and security of data. It will create to us a journal which will not be willingly changed. It will guarantee the consistency and effectiveness and auto resolution of transactions, of conflicts, of transactions. All those pillars are crucial for building a digital planet in a systematic way under the Internet of Everything. And that's why we brought up the idea of smart China, or building a smart city. Next, I want to talk about how sensoring technology can empower digital economy. China's digital economy is booming with increase of the scale of the market. I would like to brief you upon 3 scenarios of application. Number 1, auto driving, then smart mechanical application, and then unmanned combat. These will become 3 key scenarios for application of smart sensors. First up, auto driving cannot be achieved without the coordination of the sensing layer and control layer. It serves as the eyes and ears of the vehicle and will help decision making. It's like the brain of the vehicle. Also, the implementation of the decision, for example, braking and steering, is crucial. So sensors are important for smart driving, for auto driving, which will in turn boost the development of LiDAR, temperature sensors, and all kinds of sensors. However, at the moment, the sensoring technology is not advanced enough to fulfill the demand of auto driving, cannot really help the anticipation of the vehicles. So we still have a long way to go. So in a word, the foundation of auto driving is the accuracy and stability of sensors. Next, smart medical care. With the development of ICT and increase of demand of the market, lots of hospitals, for example, in overseas countries, already utilize a precision platform of medical care, of operation care, on which you will see sensors of vibration, of pressure, of inclination, and temperature, and everything. It is also equipped with the imaging system, supported by image sensors, acoustic sensors, so as increase the accuracy of operations, maneuvering. And there is also sensor system for angles, etc. All of these sensors will help doctors to conduct operations. Modern medical care have to rely upon smart and high precision sensory technology in order to accurately accurate diagnosis and operation. So that is to say, stability and accuracy of sensors, again, are crucial. Next area is unmanned combat. Unmanned combat has become a key area of application in the recent years. There is no import of soldiers. It's actually not a rare thing in the recent years. It involves the discovery, the controlling, the investigation, and the destroying of enemies. It requires image sensors, infrared sensors, flexible sensors, gas sensors, radar sensors, optoelectrical sensors, vibration sensors with high accuracy and with more precise functionalities. Also, flexible sensors, haptic sensors will be utilized as well. Thereby, in the field of unmanned combat, there is huge potential. Just now, President Guo talked about smart robot. That is actually the same case as the unmanned combat scenario. I talked about 5G, Internet of Everything, and the technical pillars. I also talked about application of sensors. So I think it's easy for us to conclude that smart sensory industry will usher in the big explosion, because we want to interact with the world, with the creatures on the world, with the help of high tech and advanced technologies. With the development of 5G, by 2031, there will be over 1 trillion IoT sensors transferring data to the cloud. And the data will be learned by sensors once again to make themselves even smarter. We don't even have to rely upon humans anymore. So I believe that in the era of IoT, We will embrace the big explosion of sensor technology in the digital era and smart manufacturing in the smart procedures of data processing. I believe there will be great opportunities, as mentioned by President Guo. And as all of you know as well, Heilongjiang province is a great manufacturer. We have to upgrade ourselves in a digital direction. One pathway we have to take is the digitalization of businesses and the business-centered development of digitalization. That is to say, we have to form a database for everything to reflect upon the quality and trends of development. And on the other way, we have to make sure that data or the trends summarized through the data will in return be used to boost development. That will help us to upgrade traditional industries like the manufacturing industry. So I talked about 4 points. The previous 3 ones as the foundation, and in the end, I just want to say that as a leading player in military sensoring technology, we're going to also move into the civil market. As mentioned in the report of the governor of Heilongjiang province, we already submitted our proposal. We are going to build a province level center of sensor data processing. We hope that in this way, we will bring the chain of innovation, chain of value, and chain of industry together to really integrate universities, research institutes, and the industry. Thank you.
非常感谢
Thank you, Mr. Guo, for your wonderful remarks. Now, Mr. Guo and Mr. Guo drew us a blueprint for the sensor industry. And on that blueprint, I believe you will all find your own positions and work together to promote better development of the industry. Now we will start our inauguration ceremony. In recent years, the development of digital agriculture has put forward new requirements for agriculture, and a large number of sensors are making agriculture smarter. The China Sensor and Internet of Things Industry Alliance has decided to set up a dedicated committee on smart agriculture, sensor technology and application, taking the opportunity of this Sensor Application Forum held in Heilongjiang. I would like to welcome Madam Fan Hong and Guo Hongwei to come up to the stage to witness the inauguration. And now Mr. Gu Yuansheng and Zhang Guo, please also come to the stage to inaugurate the committee. Please. So this marks the establishment of a new dedicated committee. Please stay on the stage for a group photo to celebrate this moment.
谢谢各位，各位就坐。
Thank you.
下面我们举行专委会理事单位的授证书的仪式。
Now, the ceremony of council member certificates.
信息技术股份有限公司
Handover. Now, representatives from Shanghai Control Information Technology Company, Beijing Kunju Tianxin Technology Company, Hangzhou Command Set Intelligent Technology, Nanjing Smarter Sensing Company, and Heilongjiang Huida Technology Development Company. Representatives of these companies, please proceed to the stage.
好，那么我们有请联盟李小龙副秘书长上台授证书。好，请各位留影。
Group photo, please.
好，谢谢各位。好，谢谢。好，那么我们下面有请第二批企业上台。
Now, representatives from Heilongjiang Double Technology Development Company, Beidahuang Information Company, Harbin Huayun Taike Sensor Technology, Harbin Zhongke Yinjiang Technology, Heilongjiang Unicom. Please come to the stage.
那同时呢，我们也有请智慧农业传感技术及应用专委会理事长张波先生上台授证书。
Now, Mr. Zhang Bo, please come to the stage to hand out the certificates.
好，请大家合影留念。
Group photo, please.
谢谢各位。我们也希望这个专委会啊，
We hope the committee established in Heilongjiang, a big agricultural province, can help advance digital agriculture.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ren Hongbin, Chairman of Hanwei Electronics Group Corporation. The topic is smart sensoring 5G solutions. Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here in Harbin to meet with all of the leaders and experts, entrepreneurs. I'm from Hanwei. We focus upon the application of IoT. So today I would like to talk about the 5G solutions from the perspective in the field of smart sensors. Now, I don't have to tap upon 5G. I think you all know it very well, as mentioned by the previous speakers. 5G's features include high speed, high volume of data, etc. For now, I think sensoring technology, ICT, and computer technology will be the three keys for modern ICT. I think sensors are connected with ICT, but when it comes to high bandwidth, high speed, high volume 5G, there will be even more scenarios of application. So next, rather than saying it's a solution, I think it's just our proposal. So I just want to show you a couple of examples. I want to dive into the micro perspective. We know that there are actually a lot of accidents, security and safety accidents. For example, in the scenarios under the ground or in the furnace, we have people coming inside for repairment, etc. But there will be accidents. But if we use sensors, I think there will be a lot of solutions. But there is one pain point. That is, sensors can only detect whether or not there is a problem, but it cannot really be seen. It cannot be visible by the personnel. We have to make sure that people behind the screen can see it themselves. We know that some are under the ground, some are in the furnace, so the data sometimes cannot be really transmitted. So what we do is that we provide a solution. When people are in the furnace, for example, we have this kind of equipment that can be installed inside it, which will sensorize, for example, toxic gases, the environment with the 360-degree cameras, temperature, and everything. And then the signal will be sent to outside of the furnace and then to the cloud for people to process and to make decisions. It's not really that advanced, but it can really be applied to solve a lot of problems. We sometimes say that there are problems, but when we put the theory into practice, because things should be mobile, we have to make sure that the equipment is portable in order to address real life problems. Now, all of the cases that I showed to you actually have been utilized, have been tested, or withstand the test of the time. So like I said, inside the furnace, for example, there will be cameras, there will be sensors, and then through 5G, we can put the theory, transmit the theory outside of the furnace. Also, you can see the scenario in which there are lots of channels and tubes transferring gases and fluids, and there is a possibility of leakage. And then with infrared camera or imaging technology, with the help of edge computing, we will be able to form the imaging of the on-site scenario. So we have sensors for imaging, sensors for sensing, sensors for capturing the features of the environment with the help of 5G technology. Another scenario is utilized in gas sites. For example, gas pressure regulating station. In some of the stations, optical fiber cannot really be installed. So what we do is that we use this PTZ laser gas detection on a line monitoring system to scan the site to see whether or not there is leakage of gases. And then with the help of imaging technology, you will know whether or not there is leakage and where exactly is the spot of leakage. This also requires edge computing and 5G technology for high-speed transmission of data. As you can see, shows to you the pictures of the sites and the software for the system. Without 5G, without edge computing in the past, actually, we could not really check the imaging real time. Again, the same scenario, but in the LNG tank farm. Another case in the field of industrial security. On this site, there is deployment of a huge number of sensors. Now, nowadays, people find it difficult to deploy different lines of signals on the site. So what we do is to combine the signals together and then transfer that data with the help of 5G. And we feel that this is a bottleneck we have to conquer, because we need to collect data from multi-sources and we need to transmit the multi-source data. This slide shows to you again the scenario in the process of building the construction. So in that process, sensors can be used to collect data for imaging and processing with the help of 5G. We also developed an IoT system so that we'll be able to collect all kinds of data, for example, 5G protocols, and then we can put everything in a package and then deliver that data. This can guarantee transmission of a huge amount of data in a real time. Another scenario is the detection system of landslides. We know that in mountainous areas, landslides often occur. Again, it's difficult to install optical fiber there, and it requires transmission of data, of imaging, everything. So through our solution, we'll be able to sensorize, for example, the external environment, rainfall, moisture content, displacement, tilt, etc. And then in a remote way, we can monitor the site to see if there are risks of landslides and other natural disasters. This has been applied in Guangxi province. Recently, northern China often sees huge rainfall. For example, in Henan province, there already have been 2 rounds of massive rainfall. So flood control and drainage is another scenario of usage of our solution. We need sensors. Increasingly, we need to sensorize not just the rainfall, the water level, the rainfall, the velocity, but also how much area has been affected by flood. So with the help of 5G, we put signals and cameras, imaging to transmit the data and process the data. Another area is the leakage of natural gas. In terms of coverage of market, we're at the first. The shipment annually actually is quite huge. But mostly, our product is utilized in restaurants and other public areas. But because the data is not of that huge amount, for example, in Shenyang province, our product is used in about 100 restaurants. In the future, the number is going to rise to 3 million. In the future, if every household, let's say, can install our product, then with the massive data, we will be able to increase the efficiency. So with more sensors, I think our technology's requirement for loading can be achieved. So I would say that this actually is an area of great potential. The slide shows to you a map of a city on which you can see potential risks, let's say, of natural gas leakage and other potential risks. With the help of sensors and smart systems. Now, China, at the moment, is working on building the lifeline or lifelines of a city. For example, lines of gas provision, lines of heat provision, etc. So all those information will be deployed and displayed on this one map. And under such scenarios, 5G technology will be crucial. Again, this slide shows to you the virtualization of risks, with green representing low risk, red high risk. Now, this slide talks about risks of natural gas leakage. Our experts mentioned smart. How to be smart? We need data. After we collect the data, we have to use 5G, which is of high speed, low latency, to process the data. To process, for example, are there any risks in a dynamic manner? Where exactly are the risks? Is also what we have done in terms of displaying the lifelines of a city. I would say that for now, the number of sensors is not enough. Once sensors can touch every aspect of our life, I think that will be an era when 5G will play a key driving role. So just a brief introduction of our company, Hanwei. So how to integrate 5G with industrial demands. At the very beginning, we only focused upon 5G with our headquarters in Zhengzhou. Last year, revenue registering 2.3 billion. We're a listed company in the Star Board. We also have subsidiaries across the country. So we're a nationwide big company. In terms of our business, we focuses upon sensoring technology, for example, gas sensors. We also have instrumentation, and we have a good deployment of R&D as well, which accounts for 7% of our total revenue. This slide shows to you the mix of or the chain of our industry. We have a small industrial chain ourselves. I often talked about it to my colleagues and to President Guo. I said, some people only focus upon the front of the chain or the upper side of the chain. However, they don't really know what the lower end really needs. So since our company got listed, we actually connect with the middle, the lower end of the entire chain. So we know what they need, how to improve the product. We get the feedback in time, and we can improve it in time. And also, we know that output of our industry actually tends to be quite low, but in terms of the lower end, we can earn a lot of money. Now, with the money, we can put the money back to investment, R&D. So that's why we formed a chain ourselves within our company. This slide shows to you some of our key devices and components, sensors of VOCs, of other toxic gases. We are ranked among the top 3 across the world and #1 here in China. But even with that, actually, the revenue only registered about 400 million. Now, this slide shows to you instrumentation. Instrumentation of gases. In this regard, we also are ranked the first here in China. Pretty much you can find everything you need in our chain. This slide shows to you our fire-related products. The price actually tend to be quite high. It uses our own sensors. It can help sensors to learn information, to learn from the data. This slide shows to you sensors of landslide, of flood. So that's all. Thank you very much.
感谢任总的精彩分享哈。
Thank you very much, Mr. Ren. Undoubtedly, Hanwei, as a leading company of sensor making, has been huge in China, and I hope your experience sharing will be helpful for other business leaders. Now, I would like to invite Zhang Bo, Chairman of Shanghai Zuo An Xinhua Electronic Technology Company Limited, to share with us his presentation. We prepared a presentation, a large presentation, but because I think many experts have already talked about the theories, so maybe it's better for us to share with you a specific case to demonstrate the application of sensors and the way to develop digital agriculture. Well, we started from making sensors. Our sensors, well, we did two things. First, we standardized intelligent agricultural sensors. That is, we standardized the protocols and interfaces for all these sensors used in smart agriculture. This is the first thing that we did 10 years ago. Secondly, in the past, our team was involved in making warplanes. And we managed to amplify weak signals. So in the past, when testing soils, laboratories are needed. So the samples need to be delivered to the laboratories for testing. But by making use of weak signal application systems, we can monitor the fertility of soils in a real-time manner. So this is what we did, the second thing that we did when it comes to sensors. The third thing we did is what we're doing now, regional digital agriculture platform. This regional and digital agriculture platform, I will show you later. On this platform, we can see real time the filtering digital platform that we developed for Shanghai. We not only did a platform for Shanghai, last year we also did or built such platforms for 10 counties. Some of the counties are in the developed regions in China, some in the lesser developed counties or regions. We also have signed agreements for developing 30 platforms this year. Have you logged onto the platform? Okay, so if we cannot log onto the platform, I will just tell you how it is. The platform in Shanghai featured a lot of innovation. First, we printed out Shanghai's map, and we can see what is planted on each inch of the farmland in Shanghai. Everything is digitalized, so the granularity is really small. Each piece of land is digitalized. Three characteristics. First, each piece of land has its own ID number. Second, the piece of land, how big it is, we know how big it is. And third, all the agricultural operation data, what kind of fertilizers are used, what kind of pesticide is used, the harvest, to whom, was the harvest sold. We also have data on all of those things. So this is the granularity that we have reached. And this is the first thing we did in Shanghai. Second, we created a farm, and then we turned the farm into what we call a happy farm. The happy farm operation model is very similar to the one that we had on the phone in an online game. That is, we have turned a physical farm into a visualized, a digital farm, so that you can see what is planted there and how the crops are growing, how the vegetables are growing. Later, you will see it on the screen. So through visualization, the tracing system or the tracing of the agricultural produce can also be achieved. Yeah, we are seeing the system now. You will find the platform rather interesting. The visualization of the farm has also made agricultural produce more safe and dependable, reliable. This is a real-time platform. It is connected to the Big Data Bureau of Shanghai. So if you click on the name of the enterprise, does it look like the happy farm that the game we played on our phones? In which area is planted what kind of crops or vegetables? The areas, how big the piece of land is. So in real time, we can see how agricultural production is going on at different enterprises. We can see how agricultural production is being done, and that is enabled by the data collected by sensors. So we know the humidity, and the fertility, how the equipment is working, and tracing of agricultural produce is also made possible. You can use your WeChat account to scan the QR code, and you will be able to see or trace and track the agricultural produce. It shows you the growing of the produce. It also shows you where the produce goes to. This is a technology that only Zuan technology has. You can take a photo of the QR code and scan it on WeChat. And then you will be able to see the farm in real time and choose to buy some of the produce if you wish. So by doing so, we connect consumers with the produce. Apart from that, we see the data constantly interchange, and Shanghai also developed this so-called data direct reporting system. If you click on the name of any enterprise, immediately you will be able to visit the enterprise and know what data it reported to the platform. Well, because we're using our mobile phone hotspots to connect to the platform, so the loading may be slow. Well, here you see on the 9th of August how much pesticide was used. So you can get access to all that data. Now we go back to the platform. The different colors represent how agricultural production is going on that piece of land. So the highlight is that vegetable growing, agricultural equipment and machineries, how they're operated, all this data can be seen here. So different agricultural sectors are interconnected, and Shanghai agricultural subsidies are also distributed on this platform. So the platform digitalizes government supervision, and it also connects the products with customers. And third, on this platform, insurance, bank loans, agricultural produce sales, and agricultural machinery services are all connected on this platform. That's what digitalization of agriculture needs to do. The Ministry of Agriculture of China, after seeing this platform, said that this platform of Shanghai is a real digitalized platform, and this will lead the way in other places in China. The newly established committee today can use such platforms to connect the upper stream with the lower stream, and based on such platforms, build our own ecosystem and empower the industry. This is what we should do. Shanghai has been a pilot city in exploring the use of such platforms, and I think the platform in Shanghai should be recommended to other cities. This year, we will build platforms, similar platforms to 30 counties in China. Some of the experiments made on the Shanghai platform, this is what I wish to tell you today. By doing so, interconnectivity in the can be enhanced. So I think the agricultural ecosystem will be established very soon.
Thank you, Mr. John, for your sharing. Definitely, you're a speaker of great ambitions. I believe that we can join hands to make our due contribution to the development of digitalization of agriculture. Our next speaker is Li Guangyi, Vice President of R&D Center, Zhejiang Dahua Technology. The topic is optical smart multi-dimension sensoring technology and its application in industries. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm honored to share with you our experience in visual intelligence, multidimensional perception fusion technology, and industrial application. As mentioned by Chairman Guo, sensoring has both the traditional and emerging sides. In terms of visual intelligence or visual sensory, it's kind of an emerging or new type of sensory. Industrialization is crucial for sensory technology. So for today, my speech, I would like to share with you some of our experience. First up, market status quo. As estimated from 19 to 24, output on a yearly basis for cameras register about 218 million every year. In China, we take 60% of global totality. If we take a look at AI cameras, output register, the growth rate register 130%. That is to say, visual AI is being widely applied. So we believe that visual intelligence now has entered into a new stage of rapid development. From the technology perspective, previously we used cameras to achieve visual intelligence. So we collect the data, camera data, for monitoring, for tracking. With the development of AI, big data analysis, visual intelligence more focuses upon the multi-dimensional sensory of targets that it can help to make decisions in a lot of fields. We believe that in the future, time prediction, event prediction will become the trend based upon dynamic sensory, both spatial and time data. So we don't have to monitor and track afterwards, but rather we can prevent things from happening from the very start. With the development of visual intelligence and its application, a key technology is smart computing. It's linked with visual intelligence. For smart computing, in the past, it focused upon computing of content. In the future, the trend will be, again, predicting events. The development of the aforementioned technologies will bring to us digitalization of businesses and industries. Coming back to today's seminar convention, we are in the 5G era. From 2 to 3 to 4, 5G, every round's development brought to us innovation of application in different industries. For visual intelligence, up until now, it reached a point to connect with 5G. Such integration will boost digitalization of industries. So those are about status quo of the business. And next, we'd like to introduce our company, Dahua. Our IoT solution is based upon cameras. In 2021, revenue registered 32.8 billion. We have over 20,000 employees, and we have explored over 180 countries as our markets. We focused a lot upon R&D. We also invested about 10% of our revenue to R&D every year. We have 5 basic science institutes covering advanced technology, big data. In 2021, last year, we issued a new initiative based upon our experience in camera technology in the past 20 years. We combined AIoT and IoT digitalized smart platform. Based upon these 2 technologies, we empower industries to transform themselves in a digital manner. With all our experience through digitalization and visual intelligence, what can be done to apply those technologies? So first up, we'll build a smart IoT solution architecture based upon 5G. So we can put all the sensors together to collect data from different sources. Those refer to visual ones, environment sensory ones. Afterwards, we can use the IT, industrial IT, to form a smart platform. This platform will then be used in different scenarios of different industries. It can be tailored to the demand of different industries to produce solutions to different industries to help them to digitalize themselves. So, for example, here is a case of visual intelligence. This is a product that we launched last year. It's called Hyperspectral Water Quality Analyzer. It can sensorize the components, the composition of water, and it embedded sensors which can detect environment, external environment, and can shape imaging of environment. And then with the help of other devices, this product can be used in water conservatories, in lakes, rivers, etc., to detect quality of water. Compare with traditional cases where chemicals were used. Our product, if you use our product, you don't have to use any additional products. Apart from that, it can analyze over 16 kinds of elements inside the water. So it greatly expands the edge of sensing. It is a kind of disruptive technology. Similar products by us have already been applied in lots of industries. For example, in natural resource protection, we sense visible light and thermal imaging with the help of LiDAR, so that for environment 5 kilometers away from us, you can detect fire in the forest. In terms of regulation, supervision of the land, for example, in Heilongjiang province. But China, 1.8 billion moose arable land is the bottom line. So what we can do is that we can help protect the arable land within the red line, the 1.8 billion moose arable lands red line. This can help regulators reduce their workload and can prevent potential losses. In terms of eco protection, we can help monitor and process the atmosphere, water, to reduce pretty much 90% of workload of humans. And in terms of water management, we can monitor speed, volume of water to prevent floods and to help management of waterways and other utilities. So such remote monitoring technology will help preserve natural resources. This will be a great help for the government. In industrial scenarios, smart sensoring can help companies to upgrade themselves, to digitalize themselves, to improve quality of production, reduce costs, to guarantee security, and to improve management. For example, beverage manufacturers can use our product to monitor their products, the structure of their products. For example, are there any defects in the beverages or in the labels, so as to avoid such products from being sent to the market? The iron and steel industry, for example, we help those plants to monitor the quality of their products, because in the past, in those iron and steel plants, scraps and other wastes were monitored and picked out by humans. But now with our help, we can reduce 70% of the human workload. And then coal industry, in other industries which greatly require safe production, we can help monitor anomalies in manufacturing. Compared with traditional sensors, our products are much more stable. In power generation field industry, there are high standards for security, safety. If we use our products towards 9 categories, we will be able to monitor instrumentation, meters, and process all the data. And we can also analyze and predict the errors of 25 kinds of meters. Such timely monitoring will be of great efficiency. It can reduce greatly human workload. Applying our products in different industries, I'm talking about virtual intelligence, I think we can move into a more intelligent and smarter era. We really can, on the platform, the smart platform, update industries. If we come back to 5G, it's developing rapidly and there are lots of scenarios. We also launch 12 5G products, and we also developed over 30 scenarios of 5G solutions to promote digitalization of industries. An industry requires an ecosystem. I'm talking about ecosystems of businesses, of services. So we continue to work with our partners to build the ecosystem. We have over 18,000 ecosystem partners. We work together to bring benefits for all. With our partnership, I believe that we can make our contribution to smart sensoring technologies development. That will be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. We are happy to see that companies, including Dahua, your plans have integrated more sensors. So I feel that we need to all work together in order to come up with better plans and more complete plans. So Visual Plus constant temperature sensors have made large strides. Today we're gathered together to exchange potential collaboration opportunities so as to come up with a more complete IoT plan. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Now I would like to give the floor to Li Weiqi, Chairman and General Manager of Nanjing Gova Technology Company Limited. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak here. My presentation is the application and exploration of the use of sensor technology in aeronautics. We all know that progress in aeronautics is something that everyone in the country looks at or is watching. Sometimes if there are challenges that we cannot address on the ground, we may turn to the space. My presentation comes in 4 parts. First, an overview of aeronautics development in China and in the world. And second, the exploration in sensor technologies. And thirdly, some of the efforts that we have made to make use of sensors in the area of aeronautics. And lastly, looking into the future. In 1957, the USSR launched the first man-made satellite. And then in 1969, the US launched Apollo number 11. And in 1993, 11 countries worked together in the building of the first international space station. And in 2015, the US recovered the rocket propeller. In 2021, the prototype of Starship SN-15 was tested and it was successful. So these are all major events for the development of aeronautics. In recent years, SpaceX, the company of Elon Musk, launched Star-Chain satellite. It also recovered on land and in the sea propellers of the rockets. It also has visions for Mars colonialization. Now, China is lagging behind in all these areas, but we have been working hard to catch up. Achievements have been made in recent years. In 1970, the Long March carrier rocket was successfully launched, and it pushed the first man-made satellite of China into the orbit. And then we sent the first astronaut, Chinese astronaut, into space. In 2020, Beidou satellite network was established, changing the passive situation that we found ourselves in when it comes to navigation. And Tianhe Core module was launched, which means that China now has its own space station. But this is different from the space station established by America together with another 10 countries. And in 2021 and 2022, we witnessed even greater strides made in the area. And in 2022, 3 Chinese astronauts were sent into the space station. The name of the Chinese space station is Tiangong, that is TG. So now China has a T-shaped space station now. And Wentian space cabin has already been sent to Hainan, as reported earlier today. Now we have 3 cabins and 2 ships in space. Which is the architecture for future expansion of China's space station. We have also launched the Lunar Probe project. China landed on the dark side of the moon for the first time. And on June the 14th, the first long-range multiple ignition test of the entire 3-stage engine of China's new generation manned launch vehicle was completed. And the long-range test of the entire 3-stage engine of the new generation of manned launch vehicle in high working conditions was conducted, and the first breakthrough in large load static and dynamic joint test technology for a new generation of manned launch vehicles using multiple large thrust engines in parallel technology laid a solid foundation. So it's obvious that going into the future, China's carrier rockets, manned carrier rockets, is, as we can see here in the picture, Long March 5 is much taller, so we can imagine it will be a magnificent rocket. And Long March 9 will be a large or even larger carrier rocket. The diameter could reach 10 meters. These are some of our achievements in realizing our space dream. As General Secretary Xi Jinping pointed out, It is our unremitting dream to explore the massive space and develop China's aeronautics. Was unimaginable for China's aeronautics to develop without the use of sensors. In 1956, a dedicated research institute for aeronautics in China was established, and there were 150 people working there. It was a large investment at the time. It was marvelous. We see on the left Long March 2F, and on the right, Long March 5. We see different parts of the rockets. Well, in each part of the rockets, we see a large number of sensors installed. Well, in the future, rockets will use even more sensors, and a larger variety of sensors will be applied. And they will be more dependable, of course, reliable. I know that Institute number 49 has done a lot in this area. In the launching base, there are also lots of sensors working to make sure that everything goes smoothly. And thirdly, I'd like to share with you what we have done here at Gaohua. We were set up more than 20 years ago, and we've done some experiments in the use of sensors in aeronautics, and we're happy and honored to have the trust of government authorities. This is academician Jiang Jie from China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology Institute, and we're very happy and honored to have her trust and to be able to work with her. We were involved in the research work related to the launch of Long March 2nd series, 3rd series, Long March 5 series, 7 series, and 8 series. And we have received appreciation letters. We have been focused on technological innovation, and we aim to achieve some technological advancement. We, for the first time, developed a sensor that is used in the remote monitoring of carrier rockets. So the measurement of micro pulsation is very complicated. Using years of experience in sensor design, we have successfully solved the difficult problem of a pulsation pressure. For the first time, we successfully developed a vibration acceleration sensor with anti-high frequency signal blocking and self-test function for launch vehicles. and we achieved small size and high integration of the sensor. It took us about 8 months to have come up with such a research result. Well, the product could achieve anti-high frequency signal blocking. At the same time, it could also do soft testing. When it comes to space sensor network, we successfully developed a wireless sensing network system on a launch vehicle, which was successfully carried on its first flight in May 2018. The system completes real-time acquisition of non-electric parameters such as temperature, pressure, vibration, heat flow, and overload of high-end equipment, and sends the acquisition signals to the network controller through a wireless channel. Many of the sensors are working with electrical cords. So if we can achieve wireless, we can build a wireless sensor network, it would make a great difference. It can add 30% load to the rocket. And after the technology was developed, it was widely reported by the media. The next generation manned engine data collection system. The system combines different physical quantity sensitive front ends, such as pressure, temperature, vibration, speed, shock, etc. It is innovative because of the temperature compensation technology for various types of sensitive devices, normalization techniques for various types of sensitive devices. Well, I think we have made some achievements in developing sensors for aeronautics, but still there is a long way ahead for us to go. I think some fundamental theoretical breakthroughs are needed. So we need to go back to the basic theories, make some breakthroughs. We have independently researched on acceleration sensing chips. So on pressure sensitive chips, we've done some simulation. Now we have developed products based on these simulation. This is a microscopic picture of the chip, which shows some functionalities of the chip. Vibration acceleration chip sensors. In order to meet the high-end market demand, we have been working with the first class and R&D team to develop a new generation of highly stable, high precision, low noise acceleration chip, which can replace imported performance indicators. We've also done research on ASIC conditioning circuit, conditioning chips. This has been verified by a testing organ in China. The AISC 42104, developed by Gaohua, solves the functions of high-frequency signal blocking and domestic sensor signal conditioning, and uses LTCC technology process to meet high reliability applications. The sensor system is also a key orientation for us. So in the area of wireless RF, we use 4 and sub 1G technology to build wireless transmission technology architecture. The characteristics include ultra long distance transmission, ultra low energy consumption, and ultra high safety. Wireless technology also includes antenna design and simulation, research in all these fields. Well, these are technological platforms based on which many applications will be made possible. The effectiveness or usability of data can be verified. Now, BP, we are mainly focused on BP neural networks, and later on, we will make more investment in deep neural network learning. Other applications, high-speed trains, and some construction projects. These are also scenarios for the application of the sensors. The sensors are used in, well, we were involved in the domestic production of sensors for China's Fuxing high-speed railway, high-speed bullet trains. Some sensors are used in coal mines, in hydraulic support and heading machines. So these are all scenarios in which the sensors can be applied in a highly reliable way. On the ground, in recent years, in rotating machinery, in the monitoring of rotating machinery, we've also had some cooperative projects. We have been working with many steel factories across China to install sensors on their machineries. These pictures show you where the sensors are installed. This is in the steelmaking industry, from the transportation of raw materials to petrochemical to power generation, and also in tunnels along train tracks. We also apply the sensors. This shows you the industrial network operation and maintenance platform in Shanxi, Jianlong. So all in all, we have been working on complex sensors and have made our own exploration. We want to consider ourselves as craftsmen and better serve the development of the whole nation. We know that due to the international political landscape, we know that we need to be fast in making breakthroughs. So looking to the future, we will need to develop composite sensing technology, multi-type sensor chip-level integration technology, enhance edge computing capabilities. On the 3 layers of the IoT, the processing of the data on the back end have been moved to the front. And cloud computing, edge computing has been added, and then part of that is taken and moved again to further to the front to make sensors intelligent. So this will serve the future in which big data will be a big thing. Energy harvesting technology will also be a priority. How to make sure that wireless sensors can work with stability. We need to we need more reliable RF performance devices, including RF chips, antenna, and filters. Wireless anti-interference and encryption technology, wireless communication and data security technology to adapt to complex environments. Information security is increasingly important. It is also crucial to the security of the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for your sharing. Indeed, your company has done a lot in applying sensors to aeronautics and astronautics. Those are high-end sensors. Congratulations to GOVA. Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to the next agenda item, panel discussion. The topic is trends and domestic production of sensor technology. I would like to invite moderator of the session, Mr. Yu Haichao, Deputy Director of the 49th Research Institute of China Electronics Technology Group Corporation. We're honored to have Mr. Li Jing, Chairman of Hangzhou Multi-IR Technology, Mr. Xu Tiefu, Professor, Assistant Professor from Heilongjiang University, Professor Peng Xiyuan, Long-Term Professor of Harbin Institute of Technology, Gao Chengcheng, Professor of School of Integrated Circuits of Peking University. Professor Zhao Yuxing, Principal Assistant of Carbon Engineering University, and Professor Jiang Yadong, Dean of School of Optoelectronic Science and Engineering of University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. Welcome our panelists. Mr. Yu, up to you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to thank the organizing committee to moderate this panel discussion with all the experts. We're going to talk about trends in domestic production of sensors. It's rather a casual round. We heard a lot of keynote speeches, very inspiring. For this round, like I said, it's rather casual. We have experts, entrepreneurs in the field of sensory industry, industrial development. So I'd like to collect our wisdom about trends in sensors and domestic production of sensors. First up, I'd like to invite Professor Peng from HIT in the field of automatic test and control. When it comes to automatic testing and controlling, we have to rely upon sensors. So Professor Peng, sensoring technology, what kind of industries can be integrated with the sensory industry? Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm honored to attend this panel discussion. Very good question. Thank you. We have to start from digital economy. Digital economy, it's centered upon the collection of data, transmission of data, and utilization of data. Sensors in the digital economy are the source of data. And that's why in intelligentization of industry, sensors play a key role. In China, if we take a look at the status quo, let me be brief. Supported by the government's policies, China's sensory industry is at a stage of rapid development. China's sensory enterprises do have some fruits which I'd like to share with you. For example, the 49th Institute, Hanwei, etc. Across the world, there are over 2 trillion kinds of sensors. 1/3 of them are in China, but that's not enough. So the status quo is that in terms of high-end smart sensors, we rely upon importation. To be more specific, 90% of those smart sensors rely upon importation. So that's a bottleneck. Sensoring technology should integrate with the new technologies in digital economy. So what are they? Number one, as mentioned by a lot of experts, artificial intelligence. In digital economy, data collected by sensors should have self-processing and recognition capacity. how to be smart, that will rely upon artificial intelligence, so that sensors themselves will be smart, will be intelligent. This intelligentization of sensors cannot be achieved without computing. So that will come to the second technology, big data analysis. We need this kind of technology. For example, edge computing. In industries, we mainly use edge computing at the end. We collect data on the side, but the power is actually quite limited. So how can we increase the efficiency when we are calculating, we're processing those data, so that we can both sense the data and recognize the data? With that, we have to use big cloud computing and big data analysis. Third technology is 5G. There are lots of sensors in industries, different kinds of data for imaging, for other kinds of information, for example. So we have massive information, and sensors should integrate with each other as well. They should interact with each other. The data will be collected and then processed. Afterwards, data will be utilized. So anyhow, fluid data, there is a huge amount of fluid data. We have to make sure that things are achieved real time. Now, this cannot be done without 5G. So sensors in digital economy is a key link for collecting data. We should integrate with the aforementioned 3 areas, but we should not limit ourselves with those areas in order to give full play to our advantages. Digital economy involves lots of high techs, which require talent for R&D. So we have to bring academia, research institutes with the industry, so as to build a mechanism for R&D. Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor. Targeting sensoring technology, AI technology, edge computing, 5G, and their integration. You brought to us your insight. Thank you so much, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, the development of any kinds of technologies cannot be achieved without talent. Talent is important. The core of technologies is talent. The core of talent is education. And today, we are honored to have Principal Assistant of Harbin Engineering University, Professor Zhao Yuxing. So regarding this issue, Professor Zhao, can you please share with us some of your experience in nurturing talent? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lots of experts, veterans in the field of sensors. I'm from a university We have actually lots of professors from universities, so just some of my own thoughts on how to nurture talent in the field of sensors. Nurturing talent is relevant to the industry. It's fundamental. For sensoring technology, we have majors mainly in the field of instrumentation department, testing and controlling department, precision instrumentation department, etc. In universities, when it comes to nurturing talent, we follow a plan or a mechanism at different departments. And this plan will be revised every 5 years. During the 5 years, there will be periodic modifications, obviously. With the development of the society, of the industry, we know that our demand or our nurturing should be in line with the demand of the society. So we have to improve the system, the plan. We have to optimize the scheme of our courses, the structure of our courses. So for example, in the field of instrumentation, there are some new majors, for example, smart sensing. This is in line with the emerging needs of the society, integrating new techs, smart techs. In the traditional instrumentation department, we have, for example, testing, controlling, major. Now, its scheme of nurturing is based upon, for example, optical, mechanical, or electromechanical related courses. And we need to integrate smart technologies, quantum physics into the structure of the courses of the plan.
Second, in the cultivation of talents in instruments, one problem is we cannot provide enough internships for our students because you all know that in the sensor industry we have made great investment in improving the laboratory conditions in MEMS. Each line may require an investment of hundreds of millions of RMB. In university, the teaching focuses on the theories, but practice is also essential. But it's difficult for a university to establish internship basis. So a collaboration with companies is needed, and iteration in the sensor industry is very fast. All kinds of research and development and experiment conditions need to be upgraded as well. So it's very important that universities and the business community should be working together in order to make it possible for students to get their hands on the job, which is part of their training and learning. And also universities and the business community should work together to create a favorable ecosystem. We all know that the gap between China and the world in the sensor industry is still huge. either you're from a university or from the business sector, you probably have already felt that it's important to have people who are both familiar with theories but also can do experiments. So universities and the business community should work together to create a favorable and enabling and innovative or innovation encouraging environment for the cultivation of talent. Thank you very much. Just now, you shared with us your views on how to cultivate the right people for the industry. We're happy to hear that, to hear your proposals. And we're now more confident than ever before that we will have the right people in the industry going forward. Now, I think you, Mr. Liu, can you tell us the status quo of the sensor industry in China? What are the difficulties that you encountered and how did you solve them? Thank you. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to share with you some of my thoughts and experience. I've been doing sensors in China for more than 10 years. I started in 2007 when I returned to China. At the time, the sensor industry in China was not well developed. The website of our company only had an English version because I didn't know where my potential Chinese customers are. Our first client was a company that used sensors in arrows in the space. But in recent years, the sensor industry has been growing very fast in China. Now, across China, there are more than 10 stocks or sensor stocks because sensors are very important for the digitalization of industries. So it's very obvious that the sensor industry is growing in a robust way. Intelligentization and digital transformation all require the use of sensors. We're facing some bottlenecks here in China because in 2008 in Germany, I saw a set of statistics saying that 99.9% of sensors in China were imported. In 2016, 96% was imported. I don't know the percentage now, but still, I heard from a previous speaker that China still faces a shortage of high-end sensors. This is also, I think, an opportunity for all of us. I think currently, in China, sensors are extremely popular and many investors are interested in sensors. So I think we're facing great opportunities policy-wise and industry-wise, investment-wise. Sensors, we have seen an increasing number of new sensors. Before 2020, ultra red sensors, more than 90% of the companies globally used my sensors. And then in 2021, many companies came into this sector. China ultra red sensor subsector, which is a very niche sector, now has a lot more companies than before working in the sector, and I'm very happy to see that. Are there any problems or challenges? China is facing three challenges. First, the core devices is in shortage. And then in this area, we have three other challenges. New materials shortage in China, we rely on import, but then for example, I have many friends in Germany. They have been making such things for decades. China's scientific technologies are large in amount. There are many academic papers, but commercialization is going slowly. And that resulted in the shortage in raw materials for the sensors and processes and equipment, new processes and new equipment. The majority of the equipment is imported. China doesn't have any high-end MEMS, and the raw materials and auxiliary materials for processing or for the complicated processes are also in shortage. These held back the development of the sensor industry in China. Now, sensor is defined as a priority for the 14th five-year plan, which is encouraging. But I think top-level design-wise, more support is anticipated, is needed. I know that many cities are seeking to grow the industry, but I wonder if they are prepared to grow the industry from all different dimensions. So that's technology, process, materials, and equipment, and the lack of enabling policies. The second challenge that needs to be addressed is, as Mr. Zhao said, we don't have the right people. New employees usually do not have any background in sensor. And after working for years in my company, some of them may choose to go to another company for a higher pay. They know the previous investment in developing talent would go into waste. So we call on universities to set up a system for developing talent with the right skills. And finally, collaboration among government authorities, companies, and the academic community is important. We have many partners both in China and outside of China. We also have offices and technical teams abroad. But I think collaboration still needs to be improved in China because no institution can work on improving the sensor technology on its own. So collaboration is much needed. Our company looks forward to working with universities. You have the knowledge, the know-how, and we have the market. If we work together, I think China's sensor industry will have a bright future. So the key really lies in how to generate economic benefits. So that calls for the efforts from every one of us. And Mr. Xu, you're an expert in waterworks. What are the challenges or opportunities faced by the sensor industry? Any recommendations to the companies, the businesses? Well, thank you. On behalf of Water Affairs, the Water Affairs community, I'd like to share with you some of your views. You may be familiar with the concepts of smart agriculture and smart cities. Well, the Water Affairs also need to become more intelligent. Let me give you a simple example. In 2015, the State Council adopted a policy saying that the leakage of water should be below 10%. And in 2020, the 10% target was reached.
Updating is not enough. We need to improve the technologies. If we want to achieve the 9%, it means that we have to sense in a real-time manner the pipes. We need technologies like IoT. In the entire water affairs industry, investment is important. I have a couple of figures I want to share with you. During the 13th five-year plan, every year, investment in drainage register 16 million in terms of water supply. The number registered 75 billion RMB. Wastewater management already registered 97%, and we also have a long mileage of pipelines, and we have over 1,400 waste management factories. We actually have no other chance to build such a great amount of infrastructure. So where should we invest the money? It's not just about the fate of the industry. It's also about what kind of water we can use in the future. A lot of water affairs companies realized this issue. So years ago, the market scale was only over 10 billion, 1 billion rather. But now they started to explore the market via digital solutions. The scale of the market now register tens of billions. Years ago, As the technician of a waste factory in Harbin, I did some analysis. Every day, only about 2,000 pieces of data were effective. Last year, the water factory in Yixing could provide hundreds of thousands pieces of data only in 1 year. So the amount of data increased rapidly. In the past, because we had limited amount of data, so we could only rely upon experience to make decisions. But in the future, we need a network to process data, to collect data. Different from other industries. For public utilities, the operation mode is quite special. For example, the PPT mode of collaboration. How can we integrate it with our existing infrastructure mode? How can we apply the technologies? How can we localize the technologies in a data-centered and data-driven manner? Now we have seen some changes in projects. For example, Guangzhou worked with Baidu to build a smart water affairs system. I think this will boost the industry as a whole. Water affairs industry is linked with emissions as well. Well, that's also the case for pretty much all industries because we have the dual carbon goals. So but mostly people will have their eyes on, let's say, the energy industry. After we achieve carbon peaking, whose market size will register 130 trillion RMB, things will be totally different. But when it comes to water affairs or waste water management, that will account for about 1% of the totality. Different from other industries, our potential for decarbonization is huge because in foreign countries, there have already been decarbonized net zero or negative carbon emission factories. They already did it. However, this sometimes cannot be transferred into carbon emission values recognized by the CCR system. Why? Because we don't have a real-time metering system. And then afterward, the data can be recognized. And then the carbon emission we avoided could be traded. Under such circumstances, well, a lot of companies, the entire industry, are now fully aware of this problem. As a matter of fact, the net income dropped. For some companies, the number was only 10%. From 2006 to nowadays, the price of water actually rose to over 1 RMB to about 2.6 RMB. Why is it that net income of water companies dropped? Well, that will have to come back to carbon price and carbon trading. For example, a wastewater management company, every year the net income register for million because the price of water, the price was approximately 4 per capita. For the 200,000 tons of carbon emissions, the value is high, as high as millions of RMB. And they can also recollect some resources. So we estimate that in the future, the net income can double. How to transform an industry. We do it via the improvement of net income in order to attract investors. So we hope that we can build a comprehensive system of carbon metering system and carbon accounting system. And there are also systems to test greenhouse gases, not just in the atmosphere, but also, let's say, in mud, in water. And this requires collaboration of lots of sensor companies for development. We need a comprehensive system tailored to the water affairs industry. Last year, as mentioned by Mr. Ren, the event in Zhengzhou themed 720 or July 20th. That is because a lot of the devices could not fully release their efficiency because we did not know the load at a certain point of time. I was provided with a device, which is a drone for detection of level of water. But when it comes to rainy days, drones cannot be used. They cannot be launched when there is heavy rain. So we have to consider lots of scenarios. We have to really consider real life scenarios to improve the efficiency. There are lots of infrastructure. They tend to be debts of the government because they cannot really live up to the expectations. Once through applying the network of sensors, we can really mobilize hundreds of trillions of RMB's assets that will bring fundamental transformation to the entire society. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Xu, for your recommendation and for your briefing. I think that a lot of our colleagues today can talk with you afterwards because sensors are really important in the field of water affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, sensor technologies, sensor industry witnessed rapid development in the recent years. With all of your support and efforts, when it comes to high-end ones, however, there is still a gap between us and overseas players. Some say that the gap is even of 90%. Now, Professor Go has been working in the field for many years. So, Professor, what are the bottlenecks in terms of producing high-end sensors here in China? Are there any recommendations you can provide? Thank you. Very good question. Thank you. I've been working in this field for over 35 years. I'm a researcher, so mostly I offer my solutions from the perspective of a researcher, not really from someone in the industry. So for me, as a researcher, I think that in the recent years, thanks to preferable policies of the government incentives, domestic production of key devices and components like sensors witness rapid improvement. If we look back to 20, 30 years ago, it was nearly impossible to voice ourselves. Nobody would listen to us. But nowadays, we have incentives, support from the government. We're deeply grateful. I'm not saying that it's enough, but at least we receive a lot of support. We have lots of projects supported by the government, and a lot of companies are also getting in the industry of sensors. Despite the small size, there are still some outstanding ones, like the one led by Mr. Yu. And there are also some listed companies who have been doing a great job. Overall, there is a big problem in the industry. There's repetition in lower end and very few investment into high-end sensor production. I know that Mr. Yu had been focusing upon high-end ones, but that's quite tricky. It requires high-tech, talent, and investment. And in the long run, constantly. Technologies require lots of iterations, rounds of iterations, and that can be time consuming. So for small and medium sized ones, they can be quite difficult to bear. For large listed companies, even, it can be tricky, not to mention the smaller ones. So if we take a look at some cases, let's say pressure sensor, we have lots of companies producing pressure sensors, but only a couple are of big size. If you take a look at the high-end pressure sensor production, we don't really have much. Mostly we rely upon importation. We don't have a company that can address the issue. Now the demand is urgent, but it can't be addressed overnight. In the field of high-end sensors, the civil ones, military ones, there are lots of challenges. 90% of high-end sensors we use were imported. Well, as far as I know, in my field, my industry, I think the number is even higher if we're talking about the real high-end ones. So how to address this problem? That's a headache. Because for high-end meters, instrumentation, we rely upon high-end sensors as just like CPUs of a computer. It's the soul of those equipment, and that's an urgent issue we have to address.
As pointed out by President Xi Jinping, the core technology cannot be bought. So this is a pressing issue. A few years back, some large Chinese companies tried to buy some regional technologies from abroad, but due to various reasons, their requests or their attempts were denied and refused. So fundamentally, we need to rely on ourselves to solve the issues. A few things to consider, based on my understanding on scientific research and based on my experience over the years. First, we're facing a great strategic window. The digital reform, material reform, which involves the introduction of new nanomaterials. The conventional high-end sensors have not really progressed that much. And if we use the existing equipment to make conventional sensors, we have a lot of advantages, late mover advantages. If we can carefully assess our technical roadmap or pathway, we will be able to make a major breakthrough in the short run very quickly. In fact, some outcomes have already been seen in China. For example, pressure sensitive sensors have really improved in China. So we need to make use of this window where technologies are not progressing much. I guess many of the leaders from the alliance and association are here. So I think it might be a good idea to remind the country of the importance of high-end sensors and ask for support. Now about talent. It's already a priority for the country. That is, now the country is trying to find the right talent to break certain technical bottlenecks. And talent is extremely important in breaking the bottlenecks. What I'm talking about is the selection of the right people for the right projects. Because whether we can break a bottleneck very much depends on what people we have on the research team. For example, if it was not Su Bingtian, then I think the Asian record would not have been broken. Innovation cannot simply be achieved by enlarging a team and having people spend lots of time on research. So what we have, I know that we have the system or the regime of selecting the right people for the right projects, but that's not enough because it's very difficult to really understand what this person, this candidate is capable of. And research institutes in the establishment, for example, national level key laboratories and universities, they should play a bigger role. Many of the projects sponsored by MST in recent years stresses fairness and resources are recommended to be allocated more to China's national. Well, I hope that more resources can be allocated to China's key national level laboratories so that we can catch up with the leading countries sooner. And also, I hope that businesses and business leaders, for example, Mr. Liu, should be more bold in using new technologies because we can, of course, develop more advanced technologies, but we never know whether a product is reliable without using them. Without using the products, we will not increase follow-up investment. So once there is a research outcome, I hope that ambitious entrepreneurs and business leaders with a vision, can boldly make use of the products. Thank you very much. Professor Gao, for sharing with us your experience. Because Mr. Jiang is not here due to the pandemic, we need to talk to him online. Good afternoon. We're having the seminar on sensor development and applications here in this conference room. It's a pity that you cannot make it here today, but we would definitely love to hear from you. I know that you are an expert in sensors and you know a lot about the cutting edge technologies in the industry. So could you talk to us about the future trends of sensors and the commercialization of new technologies, the development of talent? Any thoughts that you would like to share with us? Dear guests and experts, I really wish I could be there, but because of the pandemic, I cannot make it there today. But I think in the future, sensors will have more functionalities, will be connected to the internet and be more intelligent. I heard the reports and presentations of many speakers today. Now, China's sensors are relatively poor in functionality and are high in cost. So going forward, we need to be able to use one sensor to achieve multiple functions, and sensors and actors should be put together. All signals should be extracted and put onto one chip. This is the integration and visualization of sensors. And then sensors should also be combined with AI. We cannot simply understand sensors as a device, but rather a micro system. I'll give you an example. Mr. Li mentioned ultra-red sensors. I was the first one in China to research on ultra-red sensors. If we use a single band, you cannot really identify the details of an image. So in the future, multi-band, it will be critical. An integrated system on the chips will be necessary. Second, future sensor development direction. I think two directions to watch. First, advanced. Photoelectric sensors. Second, for people to live and survive, biological sensors, biosensors will also be critical. I think that's another future direction. About commercialization of research results on sensors and the development of talent. Just now, other panelists have shared their views. The gap between China and the advanced countries is still huge. The R&D team of publicly listed sensor companies in China are not small in amount, but they do not exactly understand some of the needs. As Professor Gao said earlier, universities make some seemingly advanced products, but they're not very realistic,
结合的不是那么紧密
or they're not closely combined with the needs of the industry.
啊，或者对
So when it comes to commercialization or development of talent, we need to be based on the real demand and be pragmatic.
所以在这一块儿，我觉得就是传感器啊，成果的转化这一块儿，实质上我
So
们
commercialization of sensors, sensor technologies, China has launched multiple policies and measures, but the problem is that the last mile is hard to be covered.
这个李总啊，这些
Mr. Li
都是我们原来的老朋友了，
is an
把
old friend of mine.
这些都是做得很好，高温度的传感器，但是这里面呢，要实质上啊，
I know that these companies do a great job in this
什么吧，跟踪性的研究，
area. But I think
和能力，
in order to commercialize some research results, business leaders' ambitions and courage are needed. So I call on ambitious business leaders who aspire to make great contributions to the sensor industry development in China.
到现在
I think there's a lot to be done to connect the industry, universities, and research institutes. When it comes to platform building, China now only has one
南方基地，
key
其他
sensor laboratory, which is affiliated to China's Chinese Academy of
这一块应该
Engineering.
高度重视。
Well, I think
在思考一个问题，
the government should really
我估计比芯片还长，所以我希
pay
望
more attention to this issue. If the US restricts the export of sensors to China, then I think the consequences will be even more serious than the restriction on chips.
所以像这个国际上的几个大的做传感器的公司，
Some international large chip of sensor manufacturers, Honeywell and IBM, they all have great platforms, but I think China's investment in this regard is not enough.
高教授谈
The
的，
development of talent,
我觉得队伍实质上要分两个层次，
two layers.
传感器领域的这个
First
带
up,
头人。
leaders.
我们国家目前为止在这一块儿接近
So
了
far, in China, we don't have actually high-end leaders. For example, Yangtze River Project scholars,
那么我觉得就应该什么吧？
as well as outstanding youth scholars. So we need to
具有国际战略
build a team of
传感器的
leading scholars in this field, which are capable
国家应该
to identify the trends in the industry. And second,
科学家的成长，
we also need to nurture rather younger scholars.
国家应该给很好的机
The
制。
government
这一块儿
should provide incentives for doing so.
国外的人回流，国
We
内的
need
人
to attract
更快。
more overseas
因为传感器它大家都很清楚，
PhDs, let's say, or professors to come back to China.
离开传感
This
器，
is the 5G convention, but without sensors. There is no 5G. There is no intelligence. Not to mention 6G.
还有一块就是什么吧？工程技术专业人员，
Next, we also need
说的就是
professional engineers.
工匠技术，那就是
Professor Xi highlighted this relevance of craftsmanship.
到封装。
This covers testing, packaging, and other related techniques.
这个说法呀不一定妥，我只是
I'm not sure if
呼吁
it's appropriate,
传感器
to bring it up. But I feel that we need to be more ambitious inside this industry because we are able to do something that has not been achieved. I think when it comes to trends of sensors, we need to improve not just technologies, but we need to refresh our mentality. We can't just follow others. We can't just buy other people's current technologies. We have to rely on ourselves. We know the war between Russia and Ukraine. The war actually, to a certain degree, is centered upon sensors, which is key to modern combating or modern wars. So that's all I want to share. I look forward to your feedback. As a researcher in the field for dozens of years, I would like to appeal a government to pay more attention to the industry. I would like to thank the organizer. Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Jiang. Scholars, entrepreneurs, I think, reach consensus upon the prospect of sensor industry. I think all of your voices are crucial for the sensor industry. As someone, a player in the industry, I'm very delighted to hear your wisdom. So just now, upon nurturing talent of sensor industry, prospect of sensor industry, our panelists share their insight. I think you must have learned a lot. So once again, I'd like to thank all the panelists. Thank you so much. Just a couple of words at the very end. The 49th Institute is focused upon the development of sensor technology. We remain open-minded in working with all of you. So we welcome you to contact with us for potential collaboration. Now we are at the best of the time during the year in Harbin because it's the beginning of autumn. In Harbin, in winter we have snow and ice, whereas in summer the weather is quite cool. So I hope that we'll have a chance to talk about sensors in the future, and I look forward to convening in Harbin in the future. Thank you so much. Back to you, President Zhu. Thank you very much, sir, for moderating this session, and I'd like to thank all the panelists once again. Ladies and gentlemen, so that will be all for the seminar on sensor development application. I hope that in the future we will have more chances, not just in Harbin, but anywhere in China to talk about sensor technologies. I am also the Vice President of the National Intelligence Sensor Innovation Center. We have the 2-inch, 6-inch, and 8-inch product, and I welcome all of you to come to Shanghai as well so that we can work with each other. Thank you so much. All the very best. Thank you.